Joshua Cribbs turns disaster into a score!
Ugly, misformed little creature who has no purpose here, no meaning.
I am a human being.
Washed it down with 1 beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, a shot of whiskey, a margarita, and a Bloody Mary. And I said, Stone Cold, why have one when you can have them both?
Swung out and drilled! Deep right center! Away back! Gone for Tony!
Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown!
Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton?
Awful.
How is she awful?
Hates freedom.
And now, Any Given Podcast with your hosts, Brendan Ward and Ethan Simpson.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection.
Hello and welcome back to another fantastic episode of Any Given Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Ethan Simpson, sitting here with my main man,
Brendan Ward.
and we have some fantastic news.
Big.
Two big, fantastic news stories to break. The first one that we're going to talk about has to do with where we are right now.
Where we come from every week, the Kent Stage.
The Save Our Stages Act was passed this past Sunday. They secretly did it while everybody was watching football.
Right?
But it was passed. $15 billion will be spread around 800 independently owned music venues in America. And Brendan, I'm not going to lie to you. When I first saw that, I almost bawled my eyes out. I had a tear come down my face, like in Wayne's World, like the old PSA with the Native American about littering. Literally, I had a tear come down my face.
Shed a little gangster tear.
I was all stuffed. I was sitting outside, and I went outside because I could use being outside as the reason that I was, sniffing and snuffling. So a lot of people out there that listen to the podcast might come to the stage, might come to some shows. They don't know what this means to not only my family, but people I consider my brothers that help with this venue. Kyle White, Brendan Ward. I consider these guys like family to me because of what they have done for my family and my family's venue. And Brendan?
Yeah, I could probably...
I can't say it more than enough, but thank you.
Absolutely. It brought a new perspective to the entire industry of just growing together this last year, basically. Something that was relatively unknown to me before March, really. Mm-hmm. So, I grew in the industry, and I'm still growing in the industry during this time. I learned a lot about it during this time, and it's allowed me to see more of the behind-the-scenes stuff rather than that it's just a venue that's putting on shows.
Right.
I wasn't just thrust into a position to where I had to figure it out and just go with the flow because we're fast-moving. We're putting on a show this Thursday, this Friday, this Saturday, all in a row, and we got to crank those out and crank that out. And so, it's your family, man. It's a family business, and a lot of people are thinking, oh, all this money is just going to go towards to help these big businesses that are just going to. No, it's your local community people. It's guys like you and me that are just out there. You might see them. They might see you at Eurogyro or Buffalo Wild Wings across the street or something like that. And sure, people around here know that you're here, but a lot of people just tend to see a venue and think that it's just a business. But no, right. It's a family source of income. It's a family's way of living. It's the way that they chose to carve out this path, and to see just the struggle of how hard it really was, because nobody outside of the 5 people in your family that see it every day knew just how hard it was. And even I said it last night, I didn't even know how hard it was. I could see a little bit of it, and I could tell when your dad starts talking a little bit and he gets it, and when he's just real with me and he's like, look, man, I don't know if we could pay you so much or something like that. And I'm just like, man, I get it. You're kind of lost at right now. You don't know what you're doing. And me just writing the emails, just to know that I'm sending it out to, he said upwards of 30,000 people, just to try to get them to sign a paper so that I won't.
So that an act can get passed.
Yeah, so
And
that an act can
thankfully
get
it got
passed.
passed.
So that so many of those people, just like you and just like your family, can be rescued and not fall into like a pit of. I'm not saying that would have definitely happened, but I'm sure it's been on your mind that the what if, when are we here, and sure that stuff is probably still there, but this definitely helps the when be a little bit more achievable.
Absolutely. And you remember March 11th, where were we? We were downtown Cleveland, right next to the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. And we had passes to get into the MAC championship. And they canceled that. They canceled your internship. They canceled my internship. Pretty much, and people think like, oh, you're exaggerating, blah, blah, blah. No, people don't understand what me and you have gone through, not only with broadcasting and sports broadcasting, but also with the Kent stage.
If the people that listen to the podcast don't know by now, we graduated from OMS together, and we were probably on a warpath in the sports industry unlike anybody that's ever went through there. I'm not tooting my own horn or anything like that. Like you said, I'm headed to ESPN. I was headed doing the ESPN thing.
ESPN Cleveland. I was with the Cleveland Indians.
You were doing the Cleveland Indians thing. Before me and you, Anthony did WTAM. And I mean, he still does. And there was that thing. But like, in terms of what we specified for, we were 100% headed in that direction, to the point where, like you said, we had passes. We were getting in this MAC tournament just to do a video project for class.
Right.
We were doing things like that rather than just cutting up somebody else's video. We were doing it ourselves. We were doing the backpacking. We were doing the stand-up. We were making all that happen, and then it was a flip of the switch while we're in our Uber on the way to Cleveland, because that's what it was. We show up, and sure, there were some guidelines in place.
And then the phone was like, doo-dun-doo, doo-dun-doo, MAC championship canceled.
Right, just instantly, 7 p.m., we're on our way there to get in and things like that. And it was just, since that instantaneous point in time in March 11th, here we are, December 22nd, 3 days before Christmas, and it's still relatively unknown. Sure, some places and some establishments know when they're open or what they can do and how they can be open. Here, we can't, because it's not even worth it.
Right.
Because it's going to cost us so much more to open this place than we can make.
Right. You have to pay, the light guy, the sound guy. You got to pay security, all this stuff, and they're like, "Oh, we'll give you like the meme. Best we can do is 93 people."
Yeah.
And it's like, Mike DeWine, fuck yourself.
We were talking 10 minutes ago about the fact that we're sitting on a stage right now and there's lights, and I can't really see out there. I can't see 75% of the seats that are out there, but I could still count 93 seats.
Right.
It's just and it's a big deal, to the point where it made you emotional. Me and you are not emotional people. I mean, we get angry at whatever. We get angry at sports. We get angry at whatever.
Right,
we are
but
not
we're not sitting out there.
We are not
like,
a crying, emotional person. And even me seeing it, and I almost did, and it's not going to hit me as hard as it, because it's your family's business, and it's something I've grown to love. I grew fond of, and it didn't. But as soon as I seen it, it was just big, and I had to write something about it.
Get me a little choked up here too.
Yeah, I could see it in your face, and
it's just such a big deal, and people are complaining about it online. So we're gonna take it from one big news to another big news. Brendan, you want to kind of, we can't really stand up. We kind of got to crouch, but as long as it gets over there. Numbers Don't Lie shirts are in. They're $20 from medium to extra large, and from double XL to 3XL, they are $25. I'm I'm so a little flushed
Yeah.
from that conversation.
It's
But
all
hey,
right, we got into it.
and I'm also excited about the shirts.
Yeah, it was-
Our podcast shirts, they are in, and let's go.
Reach out. We'll give you any details you need to know. Any questions you have asked, just reach out. We'll let you know what availability we have on all of the sizes and things like that. But it is good to kind of switch over from, I won't say sad news because it is really good news.
Good news, but a sad subject.
A sad subject, yeah. Switch over from a sad subject that
I guess, well, we're going to go into another sad subject. We're talking about the Any Given Podcast Fantasy Football League.
Oh,
Jeez, that was
yeah.
weird. League. Me, my brother Ian, and my father are all out.
Dunzo.
We're donezo.
So,
It's Kyle White versus this guy.
yeah, and I logged on this morning to check it, and I just kind of assumed you were going to win. And don't ever assume because it makes an ass out of you.
Makes an ass out of you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it too, and I was, what was it, 76 or 79, 72? I don't know. I can't remember it.
You were down by like, because he was done yesterday, and you were down like 90 to 97.
Yeah.
And then you had Juju and Eric Ebron last night, and they scored a total of 4 points together.
Yeah, I know.
And you end up falling by 66, not 66 points, 0.66 points. Not
I know
even a total point.
it was, and I even said to myself this morning when I checked that, I said, you know what, I would take that loss in fantasy football for the Steelers to lose in reality football.
And you've been saying that for weeks because you had Juju on your team. Screw what Juju stats are. I mean,
I hope Eric Ebron is good because the way that he got hit and he was holding it and you could see it when he was telling people that it was his kidney. I hope he doesn't have a lacerated kidney.
yeah, that never really want anybody to get hurt seriously like that. So yeah, big shout out to Ebron. Hopefully he's all right. But we'll get into the Steelers' loss. I purposely put it at the end of Around the NFL for a reason because I figured we'd talk a little bit more about that. But I did get a big W over your brother Ian. It was looking promising.
You beat my brother Ian, and I lost to your cousin Ian.
Yeah,
that was not too fun.
But I don't know. I was looking at it and I was like, you know what? If Ethan wins, I'm going to be I don't even know why I'm playing Kyle. You know what I'm saying? You would think the first would play the lowest remaining seed, and the dude
Yeah.
who lost to was the 6th seed. But whatever. I'll play Kyle. I'm not scared of Kyle. I probably should be because the man's got a good team, and he's only lost twice for a reason. But going up and down, I feel like with the team I have now, with DeAndre Swift playing very well, with James Robinson possibly being Rookie of the Year and still playing very well, I feel like I have a pretty good shot, and it's to play the winner of Lights, Camera, Action, or we've been calling him Devil Lettuce Wop Lover for 15 weeks now, and for some reason out of nowhere he kind of changed his name. I'm not going to say it. Yeah, just look at it. Yeah, I'm not saying that, but like, because it's just not something I should say on the air. But he changed his name, and that's who's going to play Lights, Camera, Action in the semifinal to see who plays Week 17. The only thing I'm really worried about for Week 17 is, and I don't know if I'm that worried about it because I don't really have them. Buffalo likely resting starters. Pittsburgh likely, or not Pittsburgh because they might be playing for the division. But if they win next week, likely resting starters. Indianapolis, Tennessee, depending on how that Pittsburgh game shakes out next week, one of the two could be resting starters. There's just a lot of people that could be not playing, and we have Week 17 fantasy championship matchups just because of the sheer amount of teams we had in the league this year, because we were sitting at a point where we were at 6 teams and nobody wanted to join, and then 7 people told me on the same day that, hey, yeah, we're in now. And like I've even got people that told me no, and then we're like, man, I should have did it. I was like, well, man, we really couldn't afford to have 15 teams.
I got my boy Tennessee chirping constantly in my ear like, hey, man, you're a coward. I won the last 2 fantasy football leagues, and you didn't invite me. Brandon, I did invite you. All right? Chill out. You said no, and then later you were like, "Oh, I should have joined."
So we went over that. I don't really know what happens kind of with you now. Do you kind of just sit there and wait to play for 5 and 6 next week?
I think it says me and Ian
in week 17 because I
are
believe
in
you have
buys.
you have a bye this week. So I believe you would play Ian in week 17 for 5 or 6.
and then T's in the loser
He's in a
championship.
loser. Did he end up winning? Because he was losing yesterday.
I think he lost. He's on a bye as well.
Let's see, week 15, T lost to Cowboys Suck. So I can't believe I just said that out loud like that. But, I mean, they kind of did this year. But they still have a chance at the division. Haskins over there in strip clubs without a mask. Alex Smith hurt. Washington might get stuck at 6 wins. The Cowboys have 2 relatively easy games the rest of the way.
Did you see the pictures of Haskins in the strip club?
I didn't. But
It's him with the girl sitting on his lap, and the girl twerking on the girl sitting on his lap.
I mean,
I don't know how that works, but
I mean,
kind of a strange
he's
picture.
getting 1 lap dance and the girl's getting 1 lap dance. That's how that works.
Yeah,
it's not like he's getting 2 lap dances by association or anything like that.
Well, that's why I said I don't know how that works.
Yeah, it's just a boneheaded move there, right? Like, come on,
I mean,
man.
why would you do that? Especially after a loss, like they lost.
After, and it's not like it was like they lost to a good team in the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
But also, like, your season is pretty close to being on the line. Sure, you lead the division right now, but by 1, and Dallas has won 2 games in a row. Sure, New York came back to earth the last 2 games, but they could still win the division. The Eagles aren't out of it, especially the way Jalen Hurts is playing right now. In fact, you might have, despite the 1 game lead, the Washington football team might be on the outside looking in without Alex Smith, and the fact that Dwayne Haskins can't do something to save his career because this might have ended it.
Yeah. I think he was on the last straw, the final leg.
He was already done in Washington.
Last leg, final straw.
He was on his last.
I mixed that up.
They mean the same thing,
Yeah.
right? He was done in Washington for sure after this year.
Yeah.
I think somebody would have took a
When
flyer
Alex
on him.
Smith came back,
He was done.
yeah.
I think somebody might have taken a flyer on him in free agency or something, or maybe even gave up like a 5th or 6th for him, or a 7th, whichever there. But now, probably not. This is the second time he broke protocol this year.
Right. And this leads me to my next question. Who was the last Ohio State quarterback to actually do anything in the league? And I'm not talking about switching to wide receiver.
because
Yeah,
he caught me. I was like, Terrell Pryor, but at wide
Not
receiver.
switching to wide receiver. Who was the last Ohio State? I almost said Browns again. Who was the last Ohio State quarterback to do anything in the NFL? Tell me that. Tell me who that was. Justin Fields fans that think Baker Mayfield should not be in Cleveland and Justin Fields should.
You want to give me crap about Baker playing at Oklahoma in the Big 12? Oklahoma has put 3 straight quarterbacks in the league the last 3 years, and they all
That
look
is
like
true.
dogs.
Yeah.
They all look like studs. You could see Kyler's short, but he looks good. Jalen Hurts has looked the part the last 2 games.
Absolutely.
Baker Mayfield, and people are finally starting to come around on him.
43 games he has started in the NFL.
And
More than Lamar Jackson. More than, obviously, Joe Burrow. More than Kyler Murray and more than Jalen Hurts. But people still want to say that he's a trash quarterback and he's not the franchise quarterback. Brendan, you want to show them our shirts?
Look,
Numbers don't lie. Baker is a good quarterback.
And indeed, they don't. He's headed near that. He's headed near that rookie number he put up in touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
He's also headed, unless the doors fall off against a very bad Jets team, or the Pittsburgh Steelers defense shows up again. He's headed towards single-digit interceptions. I think he's at 7 or 8 right now.
Yeah.
I could probably pull it up, but for the sake of time, I'm not. I know he's in the single digits still. But so, like, I mean, sure, by all means, if he has a 2-pick game, it's not like crazy. But like, numbers don't lie. Single digits in interceptions. His QBR is through the roof. He's a top 5 quarterback when it comes to completion percentage.
Go on, finish. I was going to say something. After you.
I don't get how you can break down Baker's game. And sure, there were some games. He didn't play great against Pittsburgh the first time, or Baltimore in week 1, but that was week 1 in a season we didn't have a training camp. But since that team has been healthy, I'm sure Teller's been out and missed, and Denzel missed 2 games, and Myles Garrett had COVID. But since that offense has been fully healthy, aside from the Giants, they were averaging 30 plus a game. I just don't get how you could be so down on a quarterback. What did you have for me?
1 second, because I lost it. I have to find it again. But I can tell you right now that Chris Collinsworth was comparing Baker Mayfield to John Elway, which any old school Browns fans know. Do not say that.
That is like, I can't, like, I heard it too and was just like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, it's just you're alienating yourself for Cleveland fans.
Right.
That's Colin
But
Cowherd.
it's Chris Collinsworth. Chris Collinsworth, you tweeted out, you said, this post-game guy must be fried.
He looked fried.
And I said, he's just his daddy's son. You said, what? And I was like, it's Jack Collinsworth.
Yeah.
Chris's son.
And then as soon as you said that, I was just like, looked just like him, now that I realized it. And it wasn't even the way he looked that made it seem like he was stoned. The man opened his segment talking about trying to make a joke like he was a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, that's what the Collinsworths do.
He said something like, Baker and the Browns usually falter in primetime, but tonight they weren't the punchline. And I was just like, that's a fried thing to say, right? That's a fried thing to say. And then he was slouched and he was all lanky and like, and then as soon as you told me it was Collinsworth's son, I was like, definitely, like without a doubt, that's Chris Collinsworth's son.
So I just found this. CBS Sports put out this on Sunday. Someone mentioned John Elway and Baker Mayfield, so we got to thinking. Elway versus Mayfield through 43 career games. Elway, 8,391 passing yards. Baker Mayfield, 10,337 passing yards. Elway, 49 touchdowns to 52 interceptions. Mayfield, 72 touchdowns to 43 interceptions. Completion rating, 53.5% for Elway, 61.7% for Baker Mayfield. Passing rating, 69.9% for Elway, 88.8% for Baker Mayfield. I don't know about you. I might be getting myself too worked up, but to me that sounds like he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I'm not talking about John Elway. I'm talking about Baker, Reagan Mayfield.
I know you're not the biggest fan of Bull, but Dustin Fox said something the other day that I think is quite true. If Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski stay together for the next 10 years, Baker Mayfield's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Absolutely. He might be Tom Brady.
First of all, just think about how many head coaches the Browns have been through first. And then you start thinking about the 20-some quarterbacks it's been since they returned.
Right.
And then you start thinking about how many systems Baker has already played in. And the fact that we're 15 games in now, the Browns are sitting at 10-4. We're 14 games in. The Browns are sitting at 10-4. If the progression that we've seen from Baker, from Freddie Kitchens' version of Baker early this season to the Stefanski Baker we see now, if we're seeing that progression, the sky is the limit for Baker Mayfield. And if you're a Browns fan, you should be excited, because just take a look at who he was a week before that Raiders game, and then take a look at who he was in that Bengals game, and then when he went for 21 straight, and then take a look at who he is now when he went down there and battled the Ravens against a defense that is supposed to be one of the better ones in the league, and the Browns are supposed to have one of the worst defenses in the league. Look, they lost that by 5 points. 2 of them were a fluke safety at the end on a hook and ladder play, and then the other 3 you could argue shouldn't even have been there if Cody Parkey hits a 38-yard field goal or a 40-yard extra point. I know. I don't want to go 2 weeks in the past because we're halfway through the show and we still haven't got the Browns Giants, so I don't want to go too far into it. With that being said, it's Browns Giants time.
Yeah.
But it's good. There's not a lot to unpack from Browns Giants. The Browns beat the Giants on Sunday Night Football 20-6, moved to 10-4 on the season. The biggest note I think from this game, the defense tightened up when they need to. I watched a video earlier that Kevin Stefanski in the locker room after. Giants offense 0 for 3 in the red zone, which means they got there 3 times, didn't score not a single once.
Oh, who was calling the offensive plays?
Freddie Kitchens. Guess what the Browns had trouble with last year? Scoring in the red. They could get there. The Browns offense moved the ball. I hate to tell you that, and I hate to give Freddie Kitchens any sort of props. I mean, the Browns offense moved the ball relatively well.
That is true. Can I drop one last thing about Baker Mayfield
From
this game against the Giants?
Drop what you need to drop.
27 completions on 32 attempts. Completion rating 84.4, 297 yards through the air. Averaged 9.3 yards every single pass. 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Longest one was 22.
So from that,
and he had a quarterback rating of 126.2. And you're going to tell me this guy cannot win games? I know it's the Giants. Don't crucify me on this.
you know it's the Giants, bro. They were hot.
But this season he is 200. He has 260 completions, 406 attempts. His completion rating is 64. His passing yards are 3,082. His average is 7.6 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. That's just this year. Longest was 75 yards. His passing rating is 99.4. If that isn't numbers don't lie, I don't know what it is. And we have the running game. We use the running game.
That was my question coming out of that Giants game. You have it pulled up. Did Nick Chubb or Baker or Kareem Hunt reach over 100 yards?
No, they did not.
I didn't think so. Want to know why? Because I watched the game, and it was a slow game that was very boring. I won't
It was
say
actually
boring.
a very fast game.
It was a grind, though. It was not the most exciting in terms of big plays and things like that is what I'm getting at. And that's why it was a balanced attack all around for the Browns offense. Baker put up nearly 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nick Chubb did reach the end zone, though.
Yes.
But he didn't get over 100 yards. Kareem Hunt helped in the pass game. Nick Chubb helped set some stuff up in the pass game. I believe Baker hit like 5 or 6 different receivers. Rashard Higgins had some big third down catches. The gorgeous pass to Jarvis Landry in the back of the end zone.
It would have been a lot prettier if he tossed it to David Njoku.
I mean, David Njoku was right there, wide open. Wide open, but whatever. If you're gonna fit a tight window, if it works, it works. We don't live to think that, well, it would have been easier to score. It worked. The only thing that didn't work for me on that play is the fact that Jarvis is the one that got penalized for the unsportsman.
The dude
bumped him,
bumped him,
and then got in Jarvis's face. All Jarvis did was talk back.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking of, who came out pretty hot on Sunday night? Ernest Johnson.
He broke quite a few, man.
Yeah. All right. So against the New York Football Giants, Nick Chubb, 15 attempts, 50 yards, average 3.3 yards. 1 touchdown, longest was 15. 2 receptions, he got 16 yards on that. I'm just saying, they know how to work this team. Kevin Stefanski is a very smart man.
This team is a different team than it was a year ago, and which is why when we talked earlier, we aren't talking playoff scenarios. I know what's out there. I know what a lot of stuff, and I know what could happen with Week 17 on the line. I know it all. Trust me, we both know it all. We're not going to talk about it. I don't want to get into that, well, how is the most Brownsian way to miss the playoffs? Because that's what people are saying. How is the most – we need 7 legs to stop the Browns from making the playoffs in 2 games. One of them being that they lose to the Jets. I know they beat the Rams last week, but they're not losing to the Jets.
No.
Second of all, I don't give a damn what Pittsburgh does. I'd like to see them lose. That's fine. But I don't give a damn what Indianapolis does. I don't give a damn what Miami does. I could care less what the Titans do, the Raiders. And these are all teams I just said that all need different things to jump over the Browns to make the playoffs. But we're not going to talk about that. I'm not going to give scenarios on this show, nothing. Because I don't want to get into, well, would it be the same old Browns? Because then we start talking about the 10-6 here and missing the playoffs then. And I just don't – why to be depressed? Your Browns are 10-4.
Hey, let's talk about 2007.
Yeah, let's talk about – the only thing I want mentioned with 2007 is the Browns have 10 wins for the first time since then. End of story.
Right.
End of story.
Let's not talk about the American League Conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, the conference championship.
Yeah, we don't. Let's not talk
Red
about
Sox,
any of it.
Indians.
Anything heartbreaking, I don't really want to get into. I put on here the last thing we had from this Browns-Giants game is pull up stats, but we went pretty deep into those, didn't we, my man? So if you want to go around the NFL, we can head around the NFL just past halfway.
All right, guys. Any
the
given
show.
podcast is taking a plane around the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys decided to leave their friends, the San Francisco 49ers, in the dust. 41-33. The Chargers decided, hey, you got that fake Statue of Liberty in Las Vegas? Well, we're going to bring a lightning bolt down. Chargers beat Vegas Raiders 30-27. Nobody circles the wagons quite like the Buffalo Bills. If you had any money and you were a betting man, who would you win in a fight? A Bronco or a Buffalo? Buffalo defeats Denver 48-19. The Green Bay Packers said no cheese for you to the Carolina Panthers as they beat them 24-16. The Seattle Seabirds beat the football team. They said, hey, you know we're very progressive up here in Seattle on the Northwest. No bueno, 20-15. The Chicago Bears mauled the Minnesota Vikings like it was the Revenant. That's how you pronounce it, right? The Revenant. 33-27. The Miami Dolphins popped out and said, no way, Jose, to the New England Patriots, 22-12.
First time the Patriots haven't made the playoffs in over 20 years.
And the Browns are going to the playoffs. Pretty wild. All right, so the Baltimore Ravens beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 40-14. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers said, get this damn Falcon off of my ship, and they beat the Atlanta Falcons 31-27.
Another big blown lead by the Falcons there to Tom Brady. They were up like 17 to 20 some points.
I don't know, maybe like the biggest sporting event in America.
Biggest comeback in
3-28 and
28-3 with like 2 minutes left in the third quarter, man. It's
yeah.
They did it again. They've done it like 4 times this year, blown big leads, including against the Cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the Tennessee Titans somehow made their way to Rome and turned into gladiator. Are you not entertained? As they slayed the Detroit Lions 46-25. The Indianapolis Colts walked up to the Texans, and I am eating my words, what I said about Buffalo and Denver. This horse actually kicked that bull in the face. Indianapolis beats Houston 27-20. The Arizona Birds went and beat Philadelphia Eagles. Bird on bird crime.
Bird on bird crime. The thing with that is Hurts played very well still.
Absolutely. 33-26. The New York Jets, they took that plane and they put that right into a mountainside, and they beat the Los Angeles Rams 23-20. You get the mountainside because goats, Rams.
Yeah, I got what
climb.
I got you. Got what you were saying.
Right.
A very costly win for the Jets. They no longer have number 1.
Yeah.
Because they're now tied with Jacksonville with record, and somehow tiebreaker goes to Jacksonville, so Jacksonville gets number 1. very costly, especially if you're in the group of people that believes that Trevor Lawrence is a certified superstar. I'm not 100% on him. I think he's going to be okay.
Same with Justin Fields. I'm not in that group either.
I'm more on Lawrence than I am Fields.
I'm on 2022 Dustin Crum.
2022 Dustin Crum. That works too.
All right, so the Kansas City Chiefs scalped the New Orleans Saints just like their ancestors did back in the day when those dirty French people came to America. 32-29. And then we get to the big game. The Cincinnati Bengal Tiger Cats just completely maul. They walked into a steel factory in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they mauled the Steelers.
Without their superstar rookie quarterback.
27-17. Finley was having himself a day. And that's going around the NFL.
All right, moving on from football to the NBA. The NBA gets underway Tuesday night with the Warriors playing the Nets. Steph Curry's returned to the basketball court. I don't know why I said that. I could care less that he's returning to the basketball court. They do not have Klay Thompson. And we will see what Andrew Wiggins brings to the Golden State Warriors. On the opposite side, they play the Brooklyn Nets, who have their group of two nerds, hippies, whatever you want to call it. Kyrie's burning sage. Kevin Durant will always be a Warrior, apparently.
The only good player that team has is Joe Harris.
I like Karis LeVert.
I like Joe Harris.
I like Joe Harris too,
Ex-Cleveland Cavalier.
because he's an ex-Cleveland Cavalier. But I also like Karis LeVert. I think he's pretty good. The other matchup tonight at Tuesday night at 10, the Lakers take on the Clippers. It's a Lakers home game, but it's at Staples Center. So there's that. The defending champion Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, only got better over the offseason, bringing in Montrezl Harrell and Marc Gasol and Dennis Schroeder.
Absolutely.
And so they only got better, and the Clippers kind of got worse, losing Montrezl Harrell. And so don't be surprised if the Clippers win that game, because by all means, whatever. The Clippers might win a regular season game. But and if any team knows that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, especially in the NBA. It's that LeBron James led Lakers team.
Oh yeah. So I think we might agree. I think we're on the same level mentally. Who's gonna win these two games?
Honestly, I think the Lakers are gonna lose just because they're gonna be on that high.
I guess we're not on the same level.
This game.
Yeah.
I just think
Kawhi turned down his extension.
He did?
Yeah.
I didn't see that, man. I'm learning that right on camera right now. I didn't see that, and it might be a very Kawhi-esque thing to do, right?
Boardman gets paid.
Boardman gets paid.
Numbers don't lie.
Boardman gets paid.
Everybody's
Numbers don't lie.
something.
But I'm just saying, don't you think he's evaluating? Can Paul George really win me a title?
No. Paul George got that. What was it? $226 million 5-year extension, which is, I'm going to say it again, fucking bonkers.
Kawhi, hey, they chose Paul George.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you, they chose Paul George for some reason.
If I was Kawhi, I would get the hell out of Los Angeles too. It's a trash state. It's a trash city.
I don't know where you should go. I don't know if you should go to the Lakers or where you should go. I don't know where gives you the best shot to win a title. Don't think Brooklyn does, because you're going to end up having to take a back seat. But I just think the Lakers are going to be ecstatic to get their rings tonight. And
who are you taking, Warriors versus Nets? Sorry.
I don't really give a damn, but probably the Warriors.
See, we are on completely different levels. I was going to say Nets-Lakers win these games tonight.
I just don't.
Or Tuesday night.
I just don't know if Kyrie and Kevin Durant have had enough time together in a training camp or practice setting. Sure, they've probably played pickup games in the gym or something like that, but with their full team and things like that, with LeVert coming back, learning where Dinwiddie fits in that offense, I think is a big thing. I think with the Warriors, outside of Andrew Wiggins, that starting five is relatively the same it was last year.
Yeah.
Sure, it was bad. It was bad enough to be the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
But also Steph missed 60 of 75 games.
I tweeted this out yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. They did a kind of like a OTL or a E60 interview with Stephen Curry, and they were talking to him about, and he said that the coronavirus has stunted his career and has financially messed up his family, which is, I'm not gonna say anything on that because the guy's a goddamn millionaire.
Hey,
Making
Steph.
multi-million dollars a year. He made multi-million dollars last year, and he played, 4 or 5 games?
I mean, hey, Steph. My man over here was just crying 30 minutes ago about the some thousand he might get
I didn't cry.
To help his, not cry, but you were emotional. To help his family business. Guess what you got paid this year? $45 million. I don't want to hear about your financial problems, because if you're in financial problems, it's your fault. Because I could tell you what I could do with $45 million a year. Give me it once. You only have to give me $45 million for the rest of my life, and I will live a life of luxury for the rest of my life. So if you financial problems, it's your fault.
And then after that, he had the balls to say, "Yeah, I'm Steph Curry. Well, we weren't invited. We didn't get invited to the bubble. You didn't get invited to the bubble because you won
games.
what? Yeah.
You won like 8 games. You were eliminated from the playoffs before the season even ended in March.
You don't see Kevin Love like, oh, the Cavs didn't get invited to the playoffs. This is BS.
They have a better freaking argument.
Right?
They won more games.
Hey, I'm just saying. Don't shoot the messenger. But hey, I'm just saying.
Like, what is your argument for getting invited to the bubble? We're in the NBA.
You don't get invited to the NBA bubble.
The Warriors were the only team eliminated from playoff contention prior to March 11th, 2020.
Do you remember when the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, back in the day before fans, it was the fans' voting decision on the Pro Bowl or the All-Star game?
Yeah.
Do you remember when it was actual stats that the people went by? Yeah, that's why you did not go to the NBA bubble. Because you guys sucked.
And I get, like, you guys will probably be better this year because you're healthy and things like that. By all means, I'm not piling on you. I know why you sucked, but you sucked.
Yeah.
It's not like you were going to just get invited and, because Steph is back, you have a shot to win a title. Because, sure, maybe you did. But an 8-win regular season team should not win a damn NBA title.
What did they win, like 8? The Cavs won 12 or 14 or something like that?
The Cavs were barely in double digits and still won more games than you. And that's because they won, like, 4 of their last 5.
Yeah.
Like,
they were starting to do the comeback. If anybody should be pissed, it should be the Cavs. They were starting to do their comeback.
Well, with 18 more games, the Cavs might have found their way to like a 20-win 8 seed in the East.
Absolutely, yeah, and they were trucking too, like they were heading for that, winning all those games, and then the bubble happens, and they're like, "Oh, sorry."
I truly
and then
think.
Go
ahead. No, go ahead.
They were talking about doing the loser bubble in Chicago, which Cavs could have clearly won it, but
I mean, of the 8 teams that didn't go, or whatever it was, 8 or 6 or whatever. They were better than the Wizards, better than the Warriors at the time, better than the Nets at the time. Well, the Nets went. Better than just everybody that went, really. There might have been a low bottom of the end West team that probably might have been able to beat them, but like they were on a streak of pretty good basketball. That really, honestly, if you want to get into that Steph Curry argument, give me the Cavs in that bubble over the Warriors last year. By all means, I don't think either team deserved to be there, and that's why they weren't. It was they literally, like, the only reason as many teams went is because like there were so many tied for that A seed in the West, and to stretch it out the way they did, it allowed them to market Zion for at least 8 games.
yeah.
Now, they obviously didn't make the playoffs because anybody could have thought that, well, if the Trailblazers are fully healthy, they're a top 5 team in the West.
Speaking of the Cavs, they're all great players. Let me say this. They were late bloomers last year because right before the deadline, they traded for Drummond, who is an absolute stud. You got Drummond, you got Colin Sexton, you have Kevin Love, you have all these guys, Larry Nance Jr. You have all these guys who are great, fantastic basketball players. They would not be in the National Basketball Association if they were not great players. But here's the thing. In 18, when LeBron left, LeBron comes onto teams and he completely changes it how he wants it.
Yeah, it's just,
And then once he leaves, these teams are sitting there like, what? It's like it's almost like a nuclear bomb went off in that organization.
I think I said it 2 weeks ago, and I said something like, sure, winning in 18, the title would have been great. But also, we kind of knew we weren't gonna.
Mm-hmm.
Knew the team wasn't good enough. So thank you to Dan Gilbert for not selling out, because the Cavs, 2 years removed from LeBron this time, is a complete 360 from what they were the last time. Without a doubt. Sure, they had Kyrie Irving, but they were winning 15 games.
Mm-hmm.
I am much more excited at the prospect of Sexton, Garland, hell, even Osman and Porter Jr. and Okoro's looked really good. I'm so much more excited now at the prospect of those guys than I was at Irving and Thompson and Varejao being your starting center, Anthony Bennett being one of your top picks. It's just like
not one of
the top pick. Yeah, the top pick. Just Anthony Bennett, like, I don't know what the selling point on him was. I can't remember just exactly why he was sold as the number one pick.
I think ESPN told everybody that Anthony Bennett was going to be the cream of the crop.
And they fell for it, right? And the Cavs fell for it, and then
we could have had a Greek Freak.
He never really did any right. I know anybody. Sure, Giannis wasn't as touted as he is.
Steven Adams. Steven Adams was drafted at 13th.
Anybody, throw a dartboard at that draft. Anybody was better than who you picked at number one. But by all means,
you know what he's doing? Nothing.
They got sold on it.
He got cut from a European basketball league.
Man, I didn't pay a lot of attention to the basketball offseason. You know, I found out the other day that Steven Adams plays for the New Orleans Pelicans.
I did notice that he got traded.
I was like, what? Which Oklahoma City's in that rebuild now, especially now that Paul left. Adams was probably their second best player there.
Well, now they're trying to build the team around John Wall. Or no, that's
Houston.
Houston.
Are they trying to build it around Gilgeous Alexander?
Who got traded over there?
I don't know.
Who did they get from? That's right, from the Suns. They did the trade.
They got Oubre.
Yeah, they're trying to build around him, right?
Why? He's been in the league 10 years. He ain't shit.
I don't know.
I mean, he's a good role player.
I mean, the fact that they had Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, and
it might have
they
worked.
couldn't do anything with those guys.
But it also might not have worked. And it's
three ball hogs.
It's the argument I gave you for Russ going to Brooklyn, or even James Harden going to Brooklyn. I think it ruins that. I think the Nets could be really good with Kyrie and Kevin Durant because there's only two of them. If Kyrie's covered, Durant can have the ball. If Durant's covered, Kyrie can have the ball.
Then you can toss it off to Joe Harris.
Yeah,
Joe Harris
or somebody. I think it works with the two of them. You add in James Harden to that Brooklyn team, it completely blows the entire institution. Well, first of all, they're probably going to ask for one of the two in a trade package. Second of all, if they don't, you're getting rid of Dinwiddie. You're getting rid of Joe Harris. You're getting rid of Karis LeVert and a couple picks.
And then what happens? You put James Harden and Kyrie Irving's ego to the test.
Yeah. See what wins: burning sage or strip clubs.
Right.
Hey,
why don't you just burn sage in a strip club?
Well, I mean, with all the diseases that are flowing around there,
that's why you got to burn the sage.
Yeah, you might exactly. You bring yourself some bad juju there, Mr. Haskins.
Oh man.
I don't even want to get into Haskins just because
that was
it's
just such a boneheaded move.
Bonehead. You know exactly what world we live in right now. Lou Williams was crucified and whether or not his story is true, completely crucified for picking up food
at Magic City,
which apparently has world-renowned wings, because once he said that, everybody, I mean, sure, there weren't like the greatest role models. Josh Gordon loved him. Johnny Manziel loved him. So
Right,
they weren't the
yes.
best role models, but there were a lot of people that were like, yeah, them wings are really good. But I mean, I don't know if I'd ever eat strip club food to begin with, but so I don't know if I'll ever eat them. But by all means, just you know what world we live in, and then that's just the way to. But back to basketball. Speaking of the Cleveland Cavaliers, they do get their own season underway Wednesday, December 23rd at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse against the Charlotte Hornets. With that, Kevin Love is not expected to play.
So Seti's gonna step in.
He'll probably be the starting three anyways. I'd imagine Larry Nance starts at the 4.
Oh, Larry Nance Jr.
Yeah, I imagine that's who's going to start at the 4, right?
Larry Nance Jr. My father used to hang out with your father back in the day. We were both born in Akron, Ohio.
Big deal. I didn't write anything. I didn't write this down, but what do you expect from the Cavs this year? Maybe record-wise, whether it be record-wise, do you expect them to make the playoffs, fight for an 8 seed?
We talked about this last week, and I said maybe they get the 8th seed. I'm going to do the smart thing and take the under on total wins that they have.
What's the line?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying I'm going to take the under. I'm going to go they win at least 22 games this year. Larry Nance Jr.
Win at least 22. I think they're playing like 70. 22 seems like a...
Oh, they're only... That's right. They're only...
It's a shortened season. It's for
I'll
sure,
give them,
but...
I'll give them 16 then.
Don't change your number.
Well, you said they're playing...
They're playing...
I forgot that they were playing the shorter season.
Well, okay. Well,
So-
16. Well, then I'll take your number. I'll take 22. I
All
think out of 70 games, they win 22. And that might not be good enough for the 8th seed in the East. I truly think that they can win 22 games. I think they can take care of the Wizards. Well, maybe not. Russell Westbrook's there now.
Yeah,
They can take care of the Bulls. They can beat the Hornets. They can... who else? They can steal a couple from some of the top-end teams. I think the Raptors are going to come back down to earth. Celtics might be really good. 22 wins seems right for me. About a 1/3 of the games they play, I think they'll win.
All right, I'll take that. So, if they're playing the Wizards, you can't put Kevin Love against Russ. You got to put Larry Nance in there against Russ. Because Russ and Kevin Love have been friends since 2007.
I mean, the friend thing, and then Larry Nance is just athletically right now better.
Yeah.
Without
you
a
got
doubt,
to you got to put Larry Nance.
Kevin Love physically cannot keep up with Russell Westbrook anymore.
No.
Maybe when he first came to Cleveland, not anymore. I'm not even sure what really Kevin Love is going to bring to this Cavs team. I just think he's getting paid so much that he can't be they can't get rid of him.
Do you know what he's going to bring to this Cavs team?
A bench
Jersey
coach?
sales.
Jersey sales, but I mean,
He's got all these.
Is he really,
like,
though?
25-year-old chicks in Cleveland. Like,
Is he-
I'm not going to get too graphic, but they love Kevin Love.
Is it really going to bring jersey sales though? Because like
I think everybody already
like
bought theirs.
shouldn't they already have it if they really wanted one? Like, I mean, I guess
Yeah.
maybe if you kept putting it off, or
You're
maybe-
buying LeBron jerseys.
maybe they'll sell a bunch of his of those City Edition jerseys that came out with the
The
homage.
Rock Hall.
Yeah, the Rock Hall ones with the homage. I actually seen the hat the other day. It wasn't too bad. The
They
jerseys are,
didn't use any good bands. They used like Pink Floyd and
Yeah.
Nirvana and NWA and stuff like
It
that.
just was not.
How many iconic rock bands are in the Rock Hall that you could have used, but you use Pink Floyd, which is just any fake stoner or person that drops acid's favorite band.
I think if I was doing a Rock Hall jersey, I would make Cleveland. I would spell out Cleveland like they normally do, like they've been doing on like the ice jersey that they did and the City Edition jersey they did last year.
Yeah.
Like the sign or whatever. But I'd make it look like a guitar.
Kind of like the All-Star game from last year.
Yeah, kind of like the Tribe did with the All-Star game. I think why not? If you're gonna go full on Rock Hall tribute, We just lost the camera again, but about 5 minutes to go, so no big deal. I'll throw a Save Our Stages thing up there.
Gotcha.
Work. I'll throw whatever. But moving on from basketball, this day in sports history, our final segment of the show. What do you got for me?
So this event of interest, this day in sports history, December 22nd, 1997, just a year after I was born, Nancy Kerrigan and Tonya Harding pre-record a show to air on Fox on February 7th. Do you remember the Nancy Kerrigan, Tonya Harding
I do
incident? Tonya Harding bashed Nancy Kerrigan's knees in. They were figure skaters. Tonya Harding bashed Nancy Kerrigan's knees in with a sledgehammer or something like that, a mallet, right before the Olympics, so that she could not perform.
Just
Or
ruined-
before a whatever. There was a movie that came out called Tonya. It had Margot Robbie.
I remember
Robin.
hearing about the movie. I just don't really remember the story, and I believe it was Margot Robbie because I do remember 100% remember the movie. I just don't remember the story.
The story is in January 1994. Here you go. In January 1994, Harding became embroiled in controversy when her ex-husband, Jeff Galugi? Is that
Galooly.
That's a fucking weird. My
That's
apologies.
a weird name.
Those two orchestrated an attack on her fellow U.S. skating rival Nancy Kerrigan. As a result of her involvement in the assault on Kerrigan, the United States Figure Skating Association banned her for life on June 30th, 1994. And then 3 years later, they appeared in a commercial together. My thoughts on that? Have you seen the movie I, Tonya?
No, I haven't.
She is a big old... She smokes cigarettes now. Kind of like Johnny Manziel. She smokes cigarettes now. I can't say a lot about people smoking cigarettes, but yes. Tonya Harding smoked cigarettes and gained a lot of weight, which there's nothing wrong with that. But she looks nothing like she did when she was a figure skater.
I mean, I couldn't imagine, right? Like, figure skaters are small, petite. Yeah, she's definitely. I mean, she's not huge. She's not like a really big person
compared to
what she probably like. I've never seen a picture of her as a figure skater, but compared to what she was, I'm sure it's. Oh yeah, way different.
Like, I'm not saying that she gained a lot of weight. I'm not calling her fat or anything like that. I don't need to be canceled or anything.
Oh yeah.
But compared to where she was in 1990 when that incident happened to now, she lives on this farm, like on all these acres of land, and she's like chain smoking cigarettes. Oh yeah, I remember Nancy Kerrigan.
She Mrs. Kelly.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Oh, no, not Mrs. Kelly.
Kelly,
Mrs. Mack. Mrs. Mack.
Yeah, whatever. Mac's like, I know that grown. She's absolutely about it. I know that grown. But yeah, from a figure skater to, and the whole thing was that she was scared that Nancy Kerrigan was going to take her spot and beat her out. So,
I mean, some of those figure skaters put their whole life on the line for that type of thing, and once you're threatened by it, it might drive you over the edge.
Nancy Kerrigan compared to her, I would probably be threatened by her as well.
Okay, yeah, probably, but got anything else for me, my man?
Yes, our T-shirts will be available online. Just let us know. Not online, but let us know, me or Brendan, and we can get those out to you. They're $20 from medium to extra large, and then 2X to 3X. are $25, and
If you need it chipped, we'll figure out shipping too.
yeah, we can get that to you. Probably do like Cash App or in
Yeah.
person or something like that.
We'll make it happen.
And we'll send you pictures of them going into the mail, so you know you're not getting scammed. But you can also follow me on Instagram at ETH Simpson. You can follow me on Twitter at ETH Simpson CGOD. You can follow the podcast at
Follow the podcast on Twitter at Podcast Given, on Instagram at Any Given Podcast, Facebook.com/Any Given Podcast. Do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter at BWardCLE, on Instagram B.Ward52. You guys have a wonderful rest of your week.
Oh,
Thank
wait,
you
where
for
can they
tuning-
follow you at?
I just did that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just did that. We got it going. As always, you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you for tuning in to Any Given Podcast.
God bless. Stay blessed.